Hello, welcome back, art friends. I hope you all are doing well, you and your families. I hope you guys are staying clean, staying safe, staying healthy, and also staying active, whatever you may be doing, whether it's staying active with art, staying active with music, staying active with reading, staying active physically, whether it's exercising indoors or getting a chance to go outside and enjoying the weather outside. If it is nice outside, please take advantage of it, because this is the Midwest. We get some nice days and then we get some cloudy, rainy days. So if it is nice and sunny and warm outside, I recommend getting some fresh air and enjoying the weather that we might be having that day. So please get out there, stay physically active too, not sitting in front of the TV all the time. Or if you are, I hope you guys are enjoying whatever you may be watching, whether it's a favorite movie or TV show. So if that's your thing, cool. But I also hope that you are staying physically active as well and enjoying the nice weather that we may be having here and there. I hope that you are also continuing and keeping up with your schoolwork that you may be getting at home. I know it's not the funnest thing in the world, but school is important. Stay in school. I hope that you guys are keeping up with your homework. Okay, so let's get started. So today I thought we would do a different kind of sculpture project, because last week we did something a little on the simpler side, I feel like, but today I thought we would do something a little bit more 3D, a little bit more sculptural. So I thought we would do some quilling. So I hope you guys can see this. So this is quilling. This is an art form, and this is an art form using paper, little strips of paper. So strips of paper that you then roll up tightly, or not so tightly, and then you create different designs or images using these strips of curled paper. And there are so many different ideas out there that people have come up with or created. So if you like, please ask your parents before going online, or ask your parents like, hey, can you look up quilling art for me, which is spelled Quilling, I believe. So quilling, and there are so many different designs out there, it's crazy. And there are so many different techniques, like how to make different shapes out of the paper, and I'll show you some today. I'm not the best at quilling, but I did want to show you guys that this is also a very fun, different, and creative, different type of art form. So just, experimenting with different art forms here. So this does take some experimentation. This took me a little bit longer than an hour, so it may be like a couple days for you to finish this, depending on how many you want to make or what kind of design that you chose. You could do images, you could do shapes, you could do patterns, you could do circles with a bunch of these in there. It's totally up to you. So just think about what you may want to make. Do you want to do an image? Do you think that's maybe too hard? I recommend, if this is your first time doing it, start off with something simple. It is a little tricky here and there. You may have to experiment, like I said. I had to do some experimenting because this has to be like my second time doing it. I tried doing it as a little kid. It wasn't my thing personally, but it was an experience. You learn that, hey, like this may not be what I'm into, but you never know, you gotta try it. Some new art forms you may get into. I never thought that I would be into metalsmithing, which is working with metal, but I took a class in college and I really liked it. So really, if you have the chance, explore different art making forms out there. You may like it. So this is just another type of art form out there, which is called quilling. Now, some of you may not like it. It may take up too much of your patience. This does take a lot of patience. Like I said, it could take you a couple days. This took me a little bit over an hour to do, and I'm still not finished with it, but I wanted to not finish the whole thing so that way you could see it. All right, so I'm gonna get started and show you the beginning steps of making it. So I'm gonna turn my camera down and show you. Sorry. There we go. Okay, where's my stick? I need a stick to keep this from falling. Alrighty. There we go. Oh no. Sorry guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Whoop. Okay. So this I use for this project. This is just kind of like a DIY, and I also, like I said, recommend using materials that you might have at home. If you have construction paper, great. If you just have printer paper, here's one I did just using toilet paper tube, black paper, and some just regular printer paper. Like I said, use what you have. I don't want you to go out and buy things, but if you're going to the store anyway, maybe pick up some construction paper, especially for this project, because you want it to be very colorful, and that takes a lot of different colored paper, or you could paint your own paper, but that is a very long process. Alrighty, so for this project I just used a paper plate, something heavy and stiff as a backing. If you don't want to use a paper plate, you could use cardboard, or this, like I said in my other videos, cereal boxes is this material that I like to use often. This is tag board, I feel like. I can't remember what I ordered exactly, but I feel like this is called tag board. But if you don't have this, a cereal box would suffice, or do just fine. So you don't have to use that. But like I said, I just used a paper plate. I really liked the round shape that it created, especially as like a frame for my flower. Now, you don't have to use a paper plate, just suggesting. If you have some, great, use a paper plate. It's a nice surface to use. I use it for a lot of my crafts, actually. And then you're gonna need toilet paper tubes. I just cut up one when I made this, but then to make like this little piece down here, I started cutting a different one. And so if you have two, great. If you just have one, that's fine. We're gonna do some measuring then. Alrighty, so let's get started. So what you wanna do first is get your toilet paper tube, and we're gonna make some marks on it just to get our petal shapes. I'm gonna show you how to make a flower, just because that's what I made. Sorry if you don't like flowers, or don't care to make one. You could do circles instead. Doesn't matter. So what you're gonna do first is you're going to measure, and if you want to get exact measurements, you could use a ruler. So this is 4 inches long, and so you might want to make each part for 1 inch wide. So there's 1 inch, there's another inch, and there's 1 more inch. But depending on how many shapes you want, so this is a 5-petal flower. You can make a 6-petal flower. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I cut it into 4s, but if you need 5, then you might have to cut it a little smaller. Or you might need another toilet paper tube, just saying. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut it into 5. So I'm gonna make, instead of 4, even though it is 4 inches, I'm gonna make my marks a little closer together. So there's 1, 2, ooh, that might be too small, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 6. So where did I go wrong? How did I get 5? I don't know. But depending on how thick or tall you want your petals to be is how many you're going to cut from here. So next, get your scissors. And if you want, if you're making petals like me, go ahead and give it a smoosh. If you want to keep that circular shape, just careful cutting. So if you want that circular shape, just try to cut your best. If you're not comfortable cutting this by yourself, please ask an adult for help. I don't want anybody to cut off fingers or, you know, get injured. So here's a circle if you want a circle. Now if you want a flower petal, all you're gonna do is give it a smoosh, like fold it right in half, and then open it up again, and you have a flower petal. Or a leaf, that could be a leaf. So for the sake I'm making flower petals, I'm gonna smush this whole thing just so that it's easier to cut. So if you are making flower petals, go ahead and smush the whole thing. So here's a new one. I'm smushing the whole thing, and then you can make your marks. So here, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. There we go. So if you want 5 petals, you're gonna make 4 dash marks, and you're gonna cut those. If you're making a 6 petal one, you're gonna make 5 dash marks. So your spacing between the marks is gonna be a little bit shorter or smaller. And then you're just gonna cut right through. And be careful. Because cardboard, like, I mean, this is a thin cardboard, but again, it's still a type of cardboard, so it might be a little trickier to cut. So just be careful. Okay. So I have my flower petal pieces, and some may be taller than others. If they are, go ahead and take your scissors, give it a nice little trim. There we go. All right, so that way they're all similar heights. I'm gonna go a little bit more. There we go. All right, and then try to arrange it in the way that you want it. Next, what you're gonna do is you're gonna glue these down to whatever surface you're gonna be working on. So I'm just gonna glue this one onto this. Now, if you want a little bit more contrast, you might want to do this on a black piece of paper. Like I said, if that's what you have, use it. I kind of like that contrast with the black and the white. So contrast meaning light and dark, and how that white is popping out from that black background. So you just might want to think of what colors you want to use and what you have. So I'm just going to use this one because this is a nice sturdy background for myself. Gonna lay it out again. Okay. And you might need to flip some over. Try to make sure your pieces are nice and flat against that surface that you're working on. See, this part has like a little bit of a swoop, so it's not sitting right up against that surface, so that's why I flipped it over. And then you're gonna add some glue, and this may be the messy part. Like I said, this may be a messy project, so just beware. Keep paper towel handy. So you're just gonna glue on the rim of your petal, and then you're gonna stick it down. And give it a couple seconds. For this project, you might have to be holding some of your pieces down for a little bit. Like I said, this project may take a little bit of patience and some understanding with the glue. because glue needs to dry. Okay. There we go. And that glue will dry clear, especially if you're using regular Elmer's glue. It will dry clear. Okay. We are getting somewhere here. I am loving this already. See? Now if you want to leave a space in the middle for like the center of the flower, where the pollen is of a flower, you can leave like a little gap to make that yellow center, but that's totally up to you. You don't have to. But I love the shape that these toilet paper tubes are already making. Like it's so convenient to make things out of toilet paper tubes, because we all use toilet paper, or at least I hope. Okay, so there we go. Now what I also recommend, excuse me, is if you have something heavy, like a book, or maybe a bowl, or something that has like some weight to it, go ahead and place it on top of your toilet paper tubes. Now you might be afraid that those toilet paper tubes are gonna like get smushed under that weight, and since there's 5 of them, you don't have to really worry about that. But some of the toilet paper tubes might not even be touching whatever is pressing down on your toilet paper tubes. This is just to keep them in place, and also give time for the glue to dry in place as well. So go ahead, put something heavy on what you just glued down, and then put it off to the side and wait for that to dry. Now if you don't like waiting and are very impatient, you could try to use a hot glue gun to glue these down, but since you guys are little kiddos and are not allowed to use hot glue guns, I wouldn't recommend that. Or have an adult do it for you. Don't just, use stuff that you're not supposed to use. I don't want anybody getting in trouble here or hurt. So just be patient, let that dry, and put it off to the side. While it's drying, go ahead, watch some TV or work on another art project. Maybe do some free draw or paint a nice picture using, I don't know, paint or some watercolors that you may have. But just be patient. So I'm gonna go ahead, push that off to the side, and let that dry. So now, I'm gonna finish up the one I've been working on. Now, I'm gonna zoom in so that way you could see it, or I'm just gonna hold it up. So some you see are more tightly wrapped or a little bit looser. It's just all about experimenting. Now, if you want, I recommend maybe getting a paintbrush or a pencil if you have one, and then you could wrap your strips of paper around it, but you could also just use your fingers. I find it very relaxing using my fingers while curling up the paper. That's just me. If you want to use a tool to help you, you could also do that. It's totally up to you, whatever you feel like doing. So for your strips of paper, I did mine on a little bit of the thin side. I tried to make sure it wasn't no taller than my toilet paper tubes. Some of them are as tall or taller. So that's just depending on how thick you are making your strips. Now this strip is, let's see, about 1 inch thick. Now if you don't, I feel like you shouldn't go more than 1 inch. So if anything, 1 inch or 1/2 of an inch. So this is about 1/2 of an inch, this pink one against this orange one. But you know what? They can be so many different lengths or thicknesses. It doesn't even matter. It's all about what you want. It's just gonna turn out a little differently. So for example, this purple one was probably less thick than this purple one, because see how it is more 3D. So that's because the thickness is taller. It's making it taller. All right, I hope that makes sense. So that one's shorter because it's probably this thick, but then this purple one right here, see how you can't even see that other purple one? It's because it may be this thickness, but that blue and this purple one are probably a little thicker and are probably about this thick. Now, if you want to keep your papers all or thicknesses all the same size, I think I recommended this for another project. I think that folding bumblebee project, if you saw that in the past. But if you want things to be similar thicknesses, go ahead and measure it all. So make your strips using a ruler. And drawing lines using a ruler. If you want to make them thinner, go ahead and go back into those spaces. And these strips don't have to all be identical, but I feel like it's ideal in the quilling process. But everybody makes their quilling designs differently. I had a paper cutter, so I was able to measure out a little faster and didn't spend a lot of time cutting, but you guys don't have one. And so I would spend time drawing those lines, drawing those lines, and then cutting your strips like this. Okay, so there's one strip. But I would do this for the whole paper. So I would make my lines, cover the whole paper, and then cut out all my strips. Now we want this to be very colorful. Now, like I said, if you don't have construction paper or different colored papers, I apologize. Just use regular copy paper. It's no big deal. You could possibly use some markers, I feel like. Where's my example? So if you want to add color, you could always go back onto the tops of what you made and add a little marker to them. And this is just another way of adding color if you don't have colored paper. It's not much, but it's just a little hint of color. Now, if you want colored paper and you don't have any, maybe color a whole paper with marker. That might be a lot of ink usage. You know, you might be using up a lot of ink that way, but it's something. It's what you have. Or you could paint your own papers and then cut them into little strips. So just keep that in mind of what you have and don't have. So, I'm gonna show you what I got here. So I stuck with, for my color combination, I did like a color combination. So the different kinds of colors I have, so color combination of blue, pink, white, and purple. And I think that's what I saw online of an example that I was looking at. Now, yours may be rainbow, so you're gonna have to make colors of blue, green, orange, yellow, purple. You're gonna have to make a lot of colors and strips of paper, so it might take a little bit more time. Like I said, this is a time-consuming project. All right, so here's all my strips of paper. And then when your thing is dry, go ahead and take that out. And we're gonna start quilling. Quilling, quilling, quilling. All right. So like I said, if you have a paintbrush, go ahead and use it. Or if you don't and just want to use your fingers, you can. I'm going to show you using the paintbrush first. So you're going to hold down the paintbrush, or hold down the piece of paper against that paintbrush, and you're just going to turn the paintbrush in your hands. And see how I'm just curling my strip of paper around the paintbrush. I feel like it makes the process easier if you have a paintbrush, but like I said, you could just use your fingers. There we go. And then you could just slide it off the paintbrush, and there you go. You have your little quill of paper. Now, if you want it to be a little looser, go ahead and let it go, and it'll expand into a looser spiral. See, just like that. And you just have to adjust it depending on what you want. Now, if you want it tighter, so here, like I said, you can also use your fingers to roll, so I'm gonna show you using a different piece of paper. So to use your fingers, go ahead and just fold the end of it up, and then fold it again until you could get that round, like, and then form it into like a circle with your fingers just by pinching it. And then go ahead and just roll up. Now if you want to roll by doing that, you can. Oops. Oh, there we go. I lost it, sorry. So here's another way, and by using my fingers, it actually made like a tighter curl rather than this one did. See? That's more of a looser curl. So you might want to use your fingers. It just depends on what you like and what you don't like. So I'm going to show you again. We're just rolling the paper in our hands, in our fingers. And then if you want to make it really tight, go ahead and stretch or carefully, ouch, I think I got a paper cut. No, I'm all good. Yeah, be careful of paper cuts, people. Just, you know, be mindful of your fingers. I don't want anybody getting paper cuts, but it happens. So if you want it a little tighter, go ahead and pull the little tab of paper that you have left. Keep your fingers kind of like pinch the two ends together, and then give it like a nice little tug. Try not to rip the paper, because we do want that paper. That gives you a nice tight roll. And when you let it go, it's nice and tight for you. Whereas this one wasn't that tight. Remember with the paintbrush? But if you want to make it tighter on the paintbrush, you would just go back to your paintbrush. Maybe give it a good squeeze against the paintbrush, so squish the paper against the paintbrush, and then see what you get when you take it off. That's a little bit better. A little bit more of a tighter curl. See? So you just have to pull it a little more or pinch it a little bit more depending on how tight you want it. Now, you don't necessarily have to have the strips of paper this long. If you want to start off on an easier note, or to just make some smaller little tubes or quills to put in smaller areas, go ahead and cut it in half. So cut your little strip of paper in half, and just use that. I recommend this technique for when you are just trying to fill the gaps. So I had this little gap at the point of my flower, and I just cut that piece in half and curled it up, and then stuck it at the tip of the flower petal. And that's what I recommend you guys do if you are trying to fill some of the spaces. Go ahead and do that. Now, if you don't want it to unravel like this, I also recommend some tape. Now, like I said in my other past videos, if you have been watching, to not use up all your family tape around the house, please ask permission before you do. I don't want you guys using up all the tape and then there's no tape in the house. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna need the smallest amount of tape for this step. So to keep those tight curls that I have in here, all I did was cut a little sliver, like little, so you don't need a lot. So cut a little sliver, get that tight roll back, and then you're gonna lay it across that little seam right here. And there you go. It's kind of like a little sushi roll. See? And that's not gonna go anywhere. You could put that down and it's not gonna unravel. So like I said, if you do have tape and you're allowed to use some tape, go ahead, just cut little slices as you work, because you don't want to lose your tape like I just did. Where'd it go? Oh, it's right here. Or you might want to stick your little slivers of tape on the surface of where you're working, or kind of like hang them off the edge of your paper plate if you are working on a paper plate. Like I said, you could use any background that you want. It doesn't have to be white, it doesn't have to be black, it doesn't have to be cardboard. I've seen examples where it's like a piece of scrapbook paper, or you could probably even use an old gift bag that you may have. That might be a cool recycling of paper, an old gift bag that you might have from a birthday party. You could also use that. All right, so the next step is attach, or you could do a bunch of these first and then work by just placing them in there, or you could go ahead and work one by one. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this entire section of flour with glue. Go ahead and spread it around. And if you want to just start at one end with the glue and then gradually add some as you work, go ahead. But I just like putting the glue in there so that way it's in there no matter how big my quills are. And then that way you could just take your quill and you're just gonna drop it on in there. If you want to add glue to the sides as well, go ahead and do that. You might want to add some glue to the sides so that way it also sticks to the sides and doesn't slip out on you. Because like I said, this glue will dry clear. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to show you another example. There are different shapes. I'm just going to kind of step away from this for a second because I want to show you some different shapes that you can make. There are shapes in quilling that you can make. You can make triangles, you can make squares, you can make kind of like teardrops, and then attach the teardrops together to make hearts, I feel like. I saw an example like that. Like I said, I'm not the best at quilling. I don't know a lot about it, but I did some research for this project so that way I could explain it to you, and I did pick up some different techniques. And like I said, I did this years ago when I was young, long time ago, but you just learn based on experience. So go ahead, take a piece, roll it, or say you want like an eye shape or like a leaf shape, it might look a little different. So I'm just gonna let this go for a little bit, like let it uncurl, and then I'm gonna give it a squeeze with my fingers on the edges. And there you go. Now, since this paper is popping out a little bit, you could go ahead and add glue or tape to keep that little strip from popping out of what you just made, or to keep the quill from like unfolding. But there you go, you got like a leaf or an eye. This could be easily an eye if you want it to be, or it could be a leaf. So that's one. Now a triangle. So I'm gonna do a triangle. So I'm gonna roll up my piece of paper. And like I said, I like using my fingers, but if you don't, that's fine. Go ahead and use a paintbrush. It's a tool. It's a tool for learning. Okay. Now for a triangle, let it unroll a little bit. And you're gonna take 2 fingers on this side, 2 fingers on this side. Remember, don't let this part like, because it's gonna unravel if you let that part go. So you gotta really keep your fingers in order for it, like, on it, to keep it from unrolling on you, because you don't want that to happen. You're gonna be spending a lot of time re-rolling, and then it's gonna get a little frustrating. Now, if this project is a little too frustrating for you, I apologize. If you do get frustrated with any artwork, this is just from experience, and I have had a lot of students feel this way at some parts. If you do get frustrated working on an art project like this one, like you're just like, I am so sick and tired of looking at this piece, I need a break, go ahead and take a break. Nothing wrong with that. I always take breaks when I'm working on my art. It just to, you know, stand up, move around. You know, you get tired looking down and working on a project. So if this is too much for you, and this is very time consuming, so if you do want to take a break, go ahead and take a break. Stretch, do some jumping jacks, maybe do some homework, watch some TV, maybe set this off for another day. If you do get frustrated with some of your art projects, maybe put it off for another day. Nothing wrong with that. You can always go back to it. All right, now to do that triangle, sorry, I got off on a little note. All right, so go ahead and you're gonna kind of pinch the two fingers at the top up, and then go ahead and pinch the bottom up then. And there you go, you got a triangle. Oh, I hope you could see that. So there you go, you got a triangle. And all I did was, if you want to just do it with one hand, so pinch the top, and then you're pushing the bottom, and you're pinching the sides in with the bottom like that. Kind of like a talking mouth. All right, so there's a triangle. Now, you guys are probably experts on the circles right now. So here's just a regular circle, and this is mainly just circles. I'm just showing you shapes to give you some different ideas here. And my way of teaching this may not be the best. If you want to look on YouTube, there might be some simpler ways of doing this. I feel like some expert quillers use pins to help keep their shapes, or help them create some of the shapes. All right, now I'm going to do a teardrop. So this is the teardrop shape. Should have used blue for this, but oh well. So I made my little quill, curled it up. It's nice and tight. Now let it go. And then all you're gonna do, try to keep this little flap at the bottom, or you could keep it on top, whatever works. And then go ahead and you're gonna pinch the top part. And then, like I said, if you have that extra piece of paper hanging out, just, you know, doing nothing, and you want to glue that right there, go ahead and do that. And there you go, you got a little teardrop now. Or this could also be a flower petal. So see, you could actually use that, and it fits perfectly right into your flower. I might keep that there. You don't have to do just circles, like I said. I'm showing showing you guys these shapes, so that way you get some different ideas and different techniques under your belt. So that way you can experiment. This is all about experimentation. You can experiment with different shapes and what images you can make out of those shapes. So here is my little raindrop or teardrop, whatever you want to call it. Now, a square. I don't know how to make a square, but I'm gonna try. Like I said, this is all about experimenting, and I'm experimenting with you guys. So just hang in there with me. All right, so there we go. Let it go. Now, I might do what I did with the triangle. I might push these two corners in, kind of make two corners like this. So it kind of looks like a gumdrop right now, or just a little mountain. See? Now, to make a square, you might want to go turn it around, do the same thing to the other side. It's not looking like a square, it's more looking like a hexagon. Oh, there we go. You might have to be finicky with it, you might have to play around with it. And if once you get that square shape, go ahead and add some glue or tape to keep that square. All right? Like I said, it's experimenting, always. So, going back to my project, I'm just gonna keep quilling. But I am running out of time, but I'm gonna just try to finish this up best I can. I'm not even using my right colors. Oops. I'm gonna go back to the paintbrush. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of tape. Where's my tape? Oh, it's on the edge of my plate. Put a little tape there. Like I said, you could use glue or tape, whatever works. And then drop it right on in there. See, so I got my pink next to my blue. Now, you could also do quills within quills within quills. So this one right here is a good example, also this one. So this one I started with a big blue quill, and then I did a purple one, and then I did a white one on the inside. So that white one is really tightly wrapped, and it's probably one of those half ones that I was talking about where you take one in half. You could rip it too if you want. That's up to you. And then you could go ahead and drop that in where you have space. So see, I just put that white one inside that pink one right there. And it's kind of just for filling the space, but also giving a sense of different colors, kind of like a bullseye effect, if you will. Now you guys don't have to do that. If you want to do a bunch of these around your paper, go for it. You may want to just do loose ones. That's fine too. Now with some of the empty spaces that you have while making these, like if you have some corners, your papers might be a little thinner. So if you want to really cover your spaces, like go way in there, do just a little piece of paper, try to wrap it up as tightly as you can. Depending on how long you've been working on this, your fingers might start to hurt too, so just keep in mind you may need a break. So go ahead and you're just gonna put that right in there. So see, I just filled that little gap with this little tiny one that I just made. Then I'm gonna use the other half of that piece of paper and make another one. So I could put it right on the other side of that blue quill that I have in there. So I'm gonna show you. And for the little tiny ones, you may not need tape, but if you want to add tape just to keep things from getting uncurled or keep things a little bit more secure, you can. So I'm gonna put this right in there, just like that. See? Alrighty. This is looking like something nice. But like I said, this is very time consuming, but you guys have time. If you guys get bored or have nothing to do, this is a project that you could do for a while and keep occupied with it. or you can walk away from it for a couple days and forget about it if it's not your thing. There you go. Do a purple one. All right, I ran out of tape, so I'm gonna go ahead, oops, cut some more slices for myself. I should have done that before I started quilling. Yeah, I would make a couple little, oops, strips of tape for yourself, so that way you don't have to cut while you're working. It's just safer that way. So go ahead, take a long piece for yourself of tape, cut it into little slivers and attach it to what you're working on. So that way you don't have to cut while you're working. It's a little bit of a pain when you have to do that. So go ahead, take a piece and cut it. Don't cut it long ways because that's just a waste. We just need a little strip. No bigger than like your fingernail almost. Like it's a little bit bigger than your fingernail or your thumbnail or whatever, how big you want to say. But this I have found is to be very relaxing and to be kind of therapeutic. You know, it's something to do. And you could actually honestly do this while you're watching TV or with some music in the background. I had some music, but it stopped. I don't know what happened. So for this one, I'm gonna make a little bit bigger. And you could make it bigger or however smaller by just tightening the curl. And adding your piece of tape to keep that curl. And you may need to hold these in there for a little bit, depending on how you want that curl to look. Here, I'm gonna. So if you need to hold it down for a few seconds, go ahead and do that. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So here's an example of a quill that I didn't tape, and see how that piece is now sticking out. Now I'm like very mad at that because like I forgot to tape it or I didn't choose to tape it. So that little piece of paper is kind of sticking out there. So if you don't want that to happen, just keep in mind to tape that little strip of paper once you quill. Now if you want to add like little fun stuff on the border or outside of your flower, go ahead and do that. So I saw this in the example that I was looking at. They just took the toilet paper tube that they were, or extra toilet paper tube that they had. They cut it in really, really thin. So I'm gonna do one here for you. So I'm just cutting it out really thin. And then they're folding it like that to get that flower shape or flower petal shape or leaf shape. And then they're matching this end to this end and then folding that. So they kind of folded that in half and then they unfolded it to get this little thing. And then they put some glue right on here and they snuck it on in there. So you could do that. And I'm gonna show you how. So go ahead. If you want to add like little attachments like that on the outside of your flower, you can. Maybe spread it with your finger so that way it's a little bit smoother. Wipe your finger off. And then go ahead and you're just gonna kind of place that in there. Hold it down for a few seconds. There we go. Now I had made a leaf earlier. So I'm actually gonna use that as kind of like an outer thing for my flower. There we go. And then I'm gonna put it right there. Now this is way taller than my toilet paper tube, so this really pops out. If you want that 3D effect, where it pops out more, like I said, you're gonna have a thicker strip of paper, or the thickness is wider. But if you don't want that, you could always kind of fold these again and cut that in half. I'm gonna actually cut mine in half, so that way I have two. So if things are a little on the taller side or the thicker side, you can go ahead and cut them in half. You just gotta be very careful. I'm gonna show you with this one. So this one is it's about as tall as my toilet paper tubes. So if you want it shorter, you're gonna go ahead and cut straight down the middle. Watch your fingers, just like that. It may alter the shape though, so you gotta be careful of what you're cutting. So that's no longer a teardrop, that's kind of looking like one of my leaves. So I'm just gonna put that right in there. Then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, put some glue. For this project, be very generous with the glue, meaning add a lot. You could spread it around, you could let it dry, you could wipe it off, woo. But be very generous with the glue. Like I said, this may be a messy project, because that glue is really gonna hold down some of the things that you want to keep on the surface that you're working on. Now I'm gonna put this little spiral, this pink one right here. Now I'm not gonna have time to finish this last petal. I didn't think of how much time I needed to finish this project. But like I said, this may take you a couple days. Like, it's just depending on how fast you work, which working slow is great. Like, art isn't fast. You have to take your time with it. Some people are fast with making artworks, but some people spend years on certain projects. But just depending on how long you want to spend on this is how difficult your design is going to be, or how difficult you want to make this for yourself. So if you just want to do a circle, go ahead and make a circle. There we go. Put that there. And then I just have this one to finish. But I think I still have time. But like I said, you could make so many different shapes with this. You can really get creative with some of the things that you make. I saw one where it was like Mickey Mouse ears. So Mickey Mouse ears is just, what is it? It's just one big circle. Oh, I want to drop this. So for example, if you were doing quilling using a different shape other than toilet paper tubes or flowers, you may have to draw it first. So here's a Mickey Mouse head. Mickey Mouse ears. And then what you would do is you would then make your border with some of the papers that you have cut, so like a strip of paper. So you would put glue on that line to create your border or whatever your quills are going to be in. There we go. So there you go. And then you would do the ears. So if you want, you could just make a circle with this strip of paper that you have. Just like that, to make like a perfect circle. And then you could put glue. Running out of glue. It may be a little messy. And then you would put that here. But if you drew something, I recommend following the lines that you drew, so that way you're not having these black lines at the bottom for people to see, because you may be able to see all the way through to the back part. So if you don't want those black lines to show, just be mindful of that. And then you would just, so here's the other ear, pretend that's the other ear. And then you would go ahead and put your different quills in here to fill it up. Now that's kind of like a more difficult level of doing things. I feel like some of you can do this one, but then again, I might be overthinking or maybe making it too difficult for you guys. I hope this isn't too difficult. I don't think it's too difficult, but like I said, things may be more difficult for you guys because you guys are younger and may not have the ability to do certain things, but that's why we're here. I want you guys to learn or try to learn. But if you look at this and say, no way I can do that, then I apologize, but it's kind of all in your head. You can do anything that you put your mind to. So, on that note, hello. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and today's craft. I hope you learned a little something about quilling, or if you want to learn more, go ahead and do some research online of different quilling techniques or different quilling artworks that are out there. Like I said, there are endless possibilities to some quilling art, so you could think of so many different things. And if you do choose to do this craft, like I said, it is time consuming and you may get frustrated with it, but please don't get frustrated with it. Take a break and come back to it. Maybe take a couple days break and then come back. But if it is too hard, I apologize. But I feel like you guys can do it. I want to challenge you. I want you guys to challenge yourselves too, in order to think outside the box, and also challenge yourself to do more, try new and different things. So try it, see if you like it, and if you do like it, you may learn to love it. All right. I hope you love this video. I hope you guys continue to stay clean, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.